Okay, hi, welcome back to The Witcher Companion. This video is about the short story from the Sword of Destiny, titled Eternal Flame. Um, I have to say, I have to be honest, this might be my least favorite short story so far. Again, it is one of the shortest. I don't know if it was as short as Shard of Ice, but it's literally like a couple pages difference at most. Um, and I don't know. I think everything that happened here, nothing felt super impactful, and that's fine. Not every short story needs to be the most important thing, in the world. But it didn't have the depth that a Shard of Ice has for me. And that's why I was fine with that one being a little shorter, just because it had that depth. But this one, I don't know. It didn't have too much to pick apart, so this shouldn't even be a very long video. But what I did find interesting is this has so much to do with a lot of the stuff that goes on in Witcher 3, the video game. So, if you aren't aware, the video game Witcher 3 takes place after the events of the Witcher series, and Novigrad is one of the main cities that you will spend like a lot of time in The Witcher 3. And I am kind of itching to replay or maybe watch somebody's playthrough of this portion of The Witcher because I don't remember it very much. I remember getting very bogged down in Novigrad, going from place to place, doing every side quest, every contract. So I don't remember much, but I remember Dudu and Dainty being present. Or maybe Dainty wasn't present. I don't remember, but the doppelganger, Dudu, was definitely present. And the Eternal Flame is a very big, not even like story point in The Witcher 3. It is, but even that, just as part of the world, it's one of the biggest factions, I would say, uh, especially depending on how your world state starts based on choices you made in Witcher 2. Um, so I found that really interesting, and that makes me excited to go through the game again eventually, which will not be anytime soon because I just finished that game, plus all the DLCs, and it took forever. And I loved it, but not playing that again anytime soon. Um, So yeah, I don't know. This story was just kind of short, didn't have that much impact on me. So far, it's my least favorite short story, but hey, I've got a few left, so who knows? So I am assuming that this short story takes place maybe not right after A Shard of Ice, but definitely after the events of A Shard of Ice. And I think all of the short stories so far in this book have been chronological because I feel that Shard of Ice took place after the Bounds of Reason, and this one's taking place after Shard of Ice. And I could be wrong about this, but that is something that you do not get in Last Wish. I think that timeline kind of jumps around, but I might be confusing the show, which goes a little crazier with the timeline, with the Last Wish book. I don't know. I'll have to think about that when I reread it. But I do think this takes place after Shard of Ice because, Geralt and Dandelion are chatting. Uh, Dandelion is so happy to be back in Novigrad, one of his favorite places, or at least Oxenfurt, as he waxes on and on about in, I think, Blood of Elves. But he's talking about how happy he is to be here. The rhymes are writing themselves, and he says, Around your house, now white from frost, sparkles ice on the pond and marsh. Your longing eyes grieve what is lost, but naught can change this parting harsh. And Geralt says, A new ballad? Aye, I'll call it Winter, but it's not ready yet. I can't finish it. And this ballad, strangely enough, reminds Dandelion, Hey Geralt, how are things with Yennefer? I forgot to ask, how is it with you and Yennefer? It isn't. I understand. And Geralt says, No, you bloody don't. Oh, still reeling from Shard of Ice. That one was so, so good. Um, and just Geralt saying, No, you bloody don't. Like, you don't understand. Because truly, how do you reckon with that? You got broken up with by a bird. Um, And I don't know. You've heard my thoughts on Shard of Ice at this point, so I don't have to dive into it. But I liked that little mention of Shard of Ice because I did really enjoy that short story. Another thing I wanted to, little excerpt I wanted to read was during the first encounter with Chappelle and The Witcher, where he says, statements calling into question the divine power of the eternal fire, irrespective of the intention, we, the humble servants of the temple, would have to treat as heresy, with all due consequences. Your personal religious convictions, whatever they might be, and however I respect them, are of no significance. Believe in what you will. I am tolerant while somebody venerates the eternal fire and does not blaspheme against it. But should they blaspheme, I shall order them burnt at the stake, and that is that. Man, Chappelle seems like such a sweet guy. Um, I guess, obviously, this isn't the real Chappelle, as we come to learn at the end of the short story, but we know that Dopplers mimic the mind of their victim perfectly. So, yeah, it's good to see what Chappelle was really like. Believe in whatever you want, but say anything about the eternal fire that isn't good, I'm gonna burn you at the stake. Awesome, Chappelle. Awesome. Maybe my favorite scene from this whole short story is when Geralt and Dudu come face to face. Geralt catches him, and Dudu transforms into Geralt. And it's a Geralt v. Geralt kind of fight. And Dudu says, you cannot defeat me because I am you, Geralt. And the Witcher, he drops bars. And every word was completely true. He says, no, you are not. And do you know why? Because you're a poor little good-natured Doppler. A Doppler who, after all, could have killed Biebervelt and buried his body in the undergrowth, by so doing gaining total safety and utter certainty that he would not be unmasked ever by anybody, including the halfling spouse, the famous Gardenia Biebervelt. But you didn't kill him, Telego, because you didn't have the courage, because you're a poor, little, good-natured Doppler, whose close friends call him Dudu. And whoever you might change into, you'll always be the same. You only know how to copy what is good in us because you don't understand the bad in us. That's what you are, Doppler. And that is not Geralt. Then Dudu kind of goes on this rant about how you gave dwarves, halflings, gnomes, and even elves, the Doppler continued, twisting his mouth in an insolent smile, the modest possibility of assimilation. Why should I be any worse off? Why am I denied that right? What do I have to do to be able to live in this city? Turn into a she-elf with doe eyes, silky hair, and long legs? Well, in what way is a she-elf better than me? Only that at the sight of the she-elf you pick up speed, and at the sight of me you want to puke. You know where you can stuff an argument like that. I'll survive anyway. I know how to. I find more and more that Geralt does what he does next a lot when he is agreeing with something but doesn't want to say, I agree. The Witcher said nothing. Because as we find out at the end of this book, in a little quote that I'll read, the Dopplers are no worse than dwarves, halflings, gnomes, and elves. And Geralt says they may even be better than those. That's why Dudu says, I'm going, and you, Geralt, will not even try to stop me. Because I, Geralt, knew your thoughts for a moment, including the ones you don't want to admit to, the ones you even hide from yourself. Because to stop me, you'd have to kill me. And Geralt, that goes against his entire morality. He doesn't want to have to kill Dudu because Dudu is a good natured creature. Obviously, he's causing trouble that he's got Dandelion and Geralt wrapped into, as well as a poor innocent gnome, or halfling, sorry. Um, so he doesn't want to have to do anything, but because he's not a Doppler, he's able to if he needs to. Here's that quote I was talking about. Geralt mutters, what do you see in this city, Dudu? And you, Chappelle? And Chappelle mutters back, had you lived on the moors and eaten roots, got soaked and frozen, you'd know. We also deserve something from life, Geralt. We aren't inferior to you. Very true, Geralt nodded. You aren't. Perhaps it even happens that you're better. The only other thing that I'm unsure about in this short story, like I just don't understand, is I understand that Dudu was mimicking Dainty and could see his mind and his thoughts. But how the hell was Dudu such a good businessman? Like buying all that random stuff, knowing about political events that are going to happen before they happen. I don't know if there's something I'm missing in this short story that should be obvious if I think about it, but I don't know how he had a handle on that. Was it truly that he was seeing things that Dudu or that Dainty couldn't see in his own mind, but that Dudu could pick apart? I don't know. So I don't know. Maybe if one of you reads this and wants to tell me how Dudu knew all that. But yeah, that's The Eternal Flame. Like I said, not much to talk about, not a very long video. Wasn't my favorite short story, but there were things that I liked about it. Um, I have started reading, at the time of recording this, I've read a little bit of A Little Sacrifice, and I'm very interested so far. I think it's going to be really good. And like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm excited to see what this is like replaying the games if I ever do that, because I really liked Dudu and I really liked Dainty. And I can't remember if Chappelle was involved in The Witcher 3. But that is one thing I liked about, like, Chappelle has this line in here somewhere where he says, well, hopefully you paid the tax because while I am a Doppler, I am also Chappelle and I carry out my duties to the utmost, like to the best of my ability. Um, so I do wonder if Chappelle was in The Witcher 3. I'll have to go back and look. But other than that, that's all for this one. And uh, I'll see you in the next one for A Little Sacrifice.